Hello guys, welcome my to channel. Book 1984. War is space, freedom is a silver, ignorance is strong. But the face of Big Brother seems to persist for several seconds on the screen. So the impact that it had made on every eyeball were too aware of. Immediately the little sandy iron woman had flung herself forward over the back of the chair in front of her with a tremulous murmur that sounded like my savior. She extended her arms toward the screen, then she bowed her face in her hand. It was apparent that she was uttering a prayer. At this moment, the entire group of people broke into the deep, slow change of B over and over again, over slowly with a long pause between the first B and the second heavy murmur second somehow creates savage in the background, which on seems to hear the sound of neck, feet, and the throbbing of tomato. For perhaps as much as 30 seconds they kept it up. It was a refrain that was often heard in moments of overwhelming emotion, parallelly was sort of human of the wisdom. A majority of Big Brother, but his memory was an act of self-hypnosis, the clever hoarding of consciences by means of rhythmic noise. Wisdom entirely Smith grew cold, and the 2 minutes ahead he could not help showing the general darling, but his subhuman chant. The dry-haired girl of BBB followed him with honor, of course. He changed with the rest. It is as impossible to do otherwise, to dissemble your flame, to control your face, to do what everyone else was doing was an interactive reaction, but there was pace of a couple of seconds during which the expression of this I might conceivably have betrayed him, and it was exactly at this moment that his significant thing happened, if indeed it did happen. Montreal, he caught bright eyes. Oberon had stood up. He had taken off his spectacles and was in the act of resolutely them on his nose with his characteristic gesture. But there was a fraction of a second when the eye met, and for as long as it took to happen, wisdom know. Yes, he knew that Orin was taking the same thing as himself. An unmistakable mishap was as so dire to my head open and the tower of lime from into the other through their eyes. I'm with you. Oberon seemed to be saying to him, I know precisely what you are feeling. I know all about your contempt, your hatred, your disgust, but don't worry, I am on your side. And then the flash on intelligence was gone, and O'Brien's face was an incredible as everybody else. That was all, and he was already uncertain where it had such incident never had any sequel. All the day kept alive in him the belief for hope that other side beside himself were the enemies of the party, perhaps the numerous of West underground conspiracies were ruled. After all, perhaps the buzzer how reality was impossible in spite of the endless arrested and confusion and excused, but to be sure that the Burhan was not simply a dream. Some days he believed in it, some days not. There was no evidence, only floating glimpses that might mean anything or nothing, snatched of overhead conversation, fight scribbling on lavatory walls, and even then two strange met a small movement of the hand which he had looked at, though it might be a single of recognition. It was all guesswork. Very likely had imagined everything. He had gone back to his accomplice without looking at O'Brien again. The idea of following up their momentary contest hardly crossed his mind. It would have been inconceivably dangerous even if he had known how to sit about doing it for a second, 2 seconds. They had exaggerated and equilegla, and that was the end of the story. But even that was a memorable event in the locked lies watch on had to lie. Winston roasted himself and set up straight. He let out a belch. The game was arising from his stomach. His eyes refreshed off the page. He discovered that while he sat helplessly mussing, he had also been writing as though by automatic action, and it is no longer the same cramped awkward handwriting as before. His pen had slid voluminously over the smooth paper, printing a large net caption down the big barrel down after big barrel down with big draw down with big brother down with big brother down over and over again fly half a big page. He could not help feeling a twinge of panic. It was absurd, not science the writing of this particular word as word more dangerous than the initial act of opening the door, but for a moment he was a temple for to throw out the spoiled page and abandon the enterprise altogether. He did not do so, however, because he knew that it was unless whether he wrote down big praise or whether he refined it from writing, it made no difference whatever. He went on with the door, and whether he did not go on with it made no difference, though police would get him just the same. He had committed, would say have committed, even if he had never set pen the pen paper, the essential crime that contained all other in itself. Thought crime, the colossal crime, was not a thing that could be concluded forever. You might act successfully for a while, even for years, but sooner or later they were bound to get you. It was always at night. The arrest invariably happened at night. The sudden draught of sleep, the hand shaking your shoulder, the light growling your eyes, the rain of hard face round the bed. The vast majority of cases there was no trial, no report after arrest. People simply display all was during the night. Your name was removed from The story record of everything you had ever was piped out. You are on time excited and was denied and forgotten. You were obliged and highlighted was the usual word. For a moment he was seized by Qaeda Heisler. He began writing in the hurry and tedious scroll. Naked don't care now with people I always shoot you in the back of the neck. I don't care now, hi big brother. He sat back in his chair, slightly ashamed of himself, and let down the pen. The next moment he saw Valentine. There was a knock at the door. Already he sat as still as a mouse in the fitful hope that however it was might go away after a single attempt, but no, the nothing was repaired. The worst thing of all would be to delay his horror was something like a drum, but he faced from like heavy was probably explosion. He got up and moved heavily toward the door. That's enough. Goodbye.